Hello and welcome on the beautiful season 2, my beautiful souls. Welcome back to High Frequency Bubble. Welcome to this incredible podcast. And this season feels different. This seasons is different. This is the season of me entering in my 30s. This is the season of becoming. This is the season of clearing, healing, releasing, remembering, and finally creating from a place that feels aligned, pleasurable, and true. And you see, I want to admit something here because when I first started this podcast, I had so much fire in my heart. I knew I had wisdom to share. I knew that I have activations for you to bring through and energy that needed to move in the world. But at the same time, I took so much on my shoulders. I was carrying so much emotionally, energetically, spiritually, physically. And yeah, the shoulders were so heavy. So somewhere along the way, the thing that was meant to feel expansive started to feel heavy. So that's why I had to pause. That's why I had to make cap the space. So I had to clear the clutter from my life, from my energy, from my field, from my mind, from my body, from my nervous system. And I had to come back to myself. I had to find my own rhythm again. I had to remember that my work is not meant to be forced, but it's meant to be felt. Felt by me, felt by you, felt by the world. So here I am. Again, more grounded, more embodied, more honest, more in my heart, more in my frequency, more in my truth. And this is the season that it's gonna be so freaking powerful because I will be sharing with you not just information, but I will be sharing with you wisdom, energy, activation, education. And this is the truth that comes from my heart, from my lived experience, from my own healing, from my own becoming. We are going to talk about emotions, energy, healing, embodiment, frequency, sensuality, spirituality, nervous system, identity, transformation, and the deeper layers of being a human and being a soul. So, this is just not a podcast. This is a space, this is a bubble. This is the high frequency bubble where you get to come back to yourself, remember who the fuck you are, and activate the parts of you that they are ready to rise. So as I said, I turned 30 this year and I truly feel like this is only the beginning. There is so much more coming, so much truth, so much wisdom, and so much more expansion. So if you are here, thank you. And if you are returning, welcome back. And this is your time to be in my world. And if this is your first time to be in my world, welcome. Welcome to High Frequency Babylon Season 2. We are only getting started. See you on the next episode. Let's go. Okay, guys, we had a little bit of a break because we had some difficulty with, I think, like our high frequency got really on the way and we had a little bit of a pause. So coming back to this beautiful episode and what we will be talking today with Ariana, as I said to you, she is so special for me. She is such a divine and beautiful soul that is helping so many men and women finding their own way to sexual sacred energy and that pleasure in life and that connection within her body. So huge welcome to you, Ariana. Welcome, my beautiful sister. And I'm so glad that I can have you here and we can talk about these beautiful topics and such a profound topics, but so hidden at the same time. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really happy um that you're helping to bring the message out because we have so much distortion around sexuality and what it is. Well, it really helps to have just healthy, open conversations about this.
Right. I think you need to come a little bit closer to the microphone because it's a little bit like distortion.
Yeah,
Then,
that's
oh,
better.
oh yes, actually that's better. Okay, now I can hear you and feel you widely. So yes, it's so true. And those topics are hidden, but I think when we are on our way, when we are shifting our mindset and the way who we are becoming and what is available for us, we need to level up the game of pleasure too. We need to level up our visibility there and our ability even to talk about it. So I really want us here in this episode today to not only focus on the sensuality and pleasure and this aspect of life, but also about us releasing that shame and telling people how freely we can really be without a shame. Because sex it's for years we've been shamed for that, right? And
Mhm.
I want us to talk about feeling safe and reclaiming that pleasure, even if you're by yourself and with your partner. But I also want to ask you and talk to you about that emotional healing around that and that transformation. What all this what we spoke about is gonna bring into play, because I think it's gonna be, it feels like a quantum bomb infused with glitter, pleasure, spaciousness, water, like all of it together. And it's coming with such a speed as well. When we allow ourselves to be on that point, when we're just coming and is this big O, if I'm gonna say like that, they're not gonna ban us, that we are actually like releasing. So yeah, give us some tea. Tell us.
Yeah, so maybe it helps to also talk about what I'm offering, otherwise it's a bit abstract. So I started working in the field of Tantra maybe like a little over 10 years ago. And my own journey, it was so much about actually emotional healing and trauma. So I learned how to cry because my body was shut down from crying. And through all those things that I did to open up my body, which is purely about embodiment and allowing all the aspects of being human. When I started to allow that and open up in that way, I also became more orgasmic. And usually people come from the other side where they're contacting me because they want more pleasure and more capacity to have wilder, bigger orgasms or whatever it is. And the truth is that when we numb one part of ourselves, we numb everything. So, to be able to feel more pleasure means to also be more present in our pain, more present in our grief, in our rage, which are all things that we're used to suppressing culturally.
Mm.
And from Tantra, I started to create things like conscious lap dance because I'm also a dancer. And I started working with women's only groups where I started with yoni yoga. So connecting really to your genitals, to your breath, and allowing this movement to become pleasurable and just for me. And that ends up looking really yummy when you see a woman authentically in her pleasure, it looks nice. So that's where I started to create things like sensual dance, conscious lap dance for your own pleasure. And these were self pleasure practices. And I feel really sad and limited with the conditioning and the vocabulary that we have. Because when I talk about self pleasure, when I talk about pleasure or intimacy or all these beautiful things, people go into some kind of corn reality where they're viewing everything I say through this lens. They're maybe hooking onto the word lap dance, like, oh, nice lap dance, but they're distorting what it really is. It's an expression of pure erotic innocence, which we all have. And it's an explosion that porn brought us and suppression and shame that starts to make it weird. Because in essence, me touching my own body that I was born in, there's nothing wrong with that. But we start to focus too much on this like corn lens of sexuality. So some of the things I offer are not sexual at all, but they're still viewed as sexual because you might end up being naked. Why the hell not? Maybe you're working on shame liberation. Maybe you're working on covering yourself and you're going to have a completely closed their journey. So yes, I work with things like yoni yoga, conscious lap dance, tantra, and now more recently, I also started creating spaces where sexuality is allowed and can happen. It's not guided, but there's space for it in the free flow. Um, and with this, again, I know what people are going to focus on when actually Tantra to me is full embodiment. We're not focusing on any one thing, but we're accepting that everything that makes us human is sacred in essence.
Mm. what a divine, beautiful mission you have here on the earth, and how beautiful is to bring that your own unique way of being into this world and allowing people to strip away from shame and receive a beautiful divine love where everything is welcome. Oh, I have full body chills and the emotions are coming because it's really beautiful work when we allow ourselves to be seen, you know. So yeah, what you gonna say? It was something there for you. Was there?
Yeah, there's this thought of when I started offering yoni yoga for women. It's basically just a form of yoga. You're connecting to your pelvis. What what was really natural was maybe you want to put a hand on your pelvis to connect to that health. And for most women, this was really healing work. And there were also rituals in which I said, if you feel like you want to take clothes off, you're welcome to. Well, we ended up sometimes being naked, sometimes touching our genitals. They're from such a pure intention and space. Um, and yeah, I feel even careful now with the word pure because I believe that every part of us in essence is pure. And fast forward years later, now I have spaces that are also sex positive, where there's ritual, there's sacredness, there's an altar, and there's a free flow where all of our humanity, all of our expressions is awesome.
Mm.
And now, because it has this word sex positive in it, people have such, women are afraid to come to the spaces if they've never been before and don't know what it's like. Um, or people will come there just to have a peak experience because they're chasing some kind of fulfillment when I'm still doing the same thing that I always did. It's just the labels create such a different view for people.
Mm. Oh, I love it. And I love how you name the labels. And we are giving the labels, we are giving the meaning, guys, you know, and it's gonna be to every single thing. But I think when you are becoming that creator and you start claiming and you feel that power of who you are becoming and you get to change those labels and you get to name it the way you want it without shame, without guilt, without what anybody else is gonna thinking and feeling about you, but you're so staying connected to your truth and who you are and what does it mean really for you. That's how you are becoming so powerful within yourself, within your life, within your creation, that whatever you will be bringing into the world is coming from that fulfillment and love and understanding of where you are going and what this label means for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because without you not having that label done by you, like as you said, like for you tantra, what is the tantra for you? For someone else might be totally different, for me might be totally different, but we're still gonna find that still mutual ground when we're gonna come to love, when we're gonna come to connection, when we're gonna come to togetherness, to being one, because it's all of us. Whatever is in me is in you. I'll always say that. Whatever you see in me is in you too. So sometimes we are seeking for these labels and those programs that we've been given. But if you only allow yourself to open those eyes of possibility, what is there for you, you are shifting the whole freaking world around you and yourself.
Yes, and I think it's also important to remember like what was the function of certain labels when we started to create negative terms around female sexuality, female expression. It's a very manipulative way to control what people do. And very often people come to me like, oh, but what do your parents think? What does your family think? How are you able to do this work? What do people think? But if I worry about what other people think, I'm giving them now my power. And this is just leaning into the suppression that's been going on collectively for all of humanity for who knows how long. Well, also to be like, yeah, people might misunderstand me, they might judge me, and still I know what I'm doing. And maybe I need to educate people along the way who are open to that. But I know my truth. And to walk in your own truth, it always takes courage.
And cheers for that. Like, it feels so emotional when you are seeing another human standing in its power and knowing how much transformation and how much healing they had to go through in order to be here right now, to giving other people to teach. And I want to celebrate you for that. I want
Mm.
to I want to honor you that time. I want to honor your energy and that courage, as you said, and that ability to to staying true to you, not being afraid of someone else being judged by someone else. And we know how the judgment, even for years since school, we have the judgment. What are you wearing? What do you think? How do you walk? And all this stuff. But we get to shift this judgment. And I just, yeah, I'm in awe of this topic. And I really love how the sensuality and the tantra can really bring us into emotional healing. And I'm gonna have a couple of questions to you about that, because I think like emotions, it's such a huge topic. Like for us, like we as a women, we are naturally freaking emotional, and we're gonna react like this, not like that, and we're gonna have like these days and the red days and the not red days, and like sometimes we're gonna be fiery, sometimes we're gonna be on the low, sometimes we're gonna have crisps, sometimes we're gonna have chocolate. So I really want to ask you how, for you, and how you are seeing this, that the tantra is connected to that emotional healing and not only the sexuality of it. How would you describe that?
So I found it really interesting because I realized recently that what originally happened is when Westerners saw Tantra, they were so repressed in their own sexuality that they only focused on the sex and said, like, oh, this is all about sex. It's super simple. When Tantra, in essence, you could be celibate and practicing Tantra. It has nothing to do with physical sexuality. Um, but it's the using of sexual energy. It's the using also emotional energy. So you start to become really an internal alchemist to use emotions to work through them instead of suppressing. You open your whole system for them, and it starts to feel your body, and you start to feel so much more alive. And I notice in my work nowadays, even when people are coming to my spaces, I notice in the beginning they have the same judgment. They focus too much on the sexuality because their own sexuality have been so suppressed. And that can be part of the journey. That can be part of the healing journey. For some of us, we're drawn to want to heal emotionally, and for some of us, we're drawn to work on sexuality. And I trust that inner impulse, that inner guidance. For me, Tantra is letting go of the hierarchy of someone is above you, somebody knows better than you, and following that own impulse and welcoming home all the aspects that make you you. For in a Tantra, like for example, in the Hindi Tantra, there are all these archetypes. You have Kali, you have Shakti, Shiva, like all these hundreds of embodiments of the god, goddess energy, and these parts are within us. We have so many parts of our psyche. And who honor a goddess or a god who is capable of rage means that we start to also honor that in ourselves and see that as a safe, of course, because rage has its time and space. You know, if a mother needs to defend her child, rage is appropriate, and rage keeps us safe. Um, so I forget what the original question.
And we get to be flowy in that emotional expression and emotional healing and this tantric life. And I love that we get to be so floaty and so juicy with this topic. And I think like you answered the question so beautifully, and you went into that connection that I've asked you about, that healing, that emotional healing, and the tantra and the sexuality and connection between those. And I love that you said that some of us, we're gonna go and chase that sexual feeling, right? Because we've been suppressed for so long. And sometimes we haven't been even feeling safe enough to show ourselves, to tell what we want, to start owning our voice. And I remember, guys, like at the beginning, it was so weird for me to even breathe out loud. I was
Mhm.
feeling awkward. And I was like, oh, I was thinking like, what is going on here? And then and that's what I'm gonna tell you here, like, guys, like when you are in this kind of spaces, when you are coming to Ariana's workshop, my workshop, our together workshop retreats, you are being implemented with the tools that they're gonna help you regulate yourself outside of those containers. Phew, to this. Oh, and full body chills. And this is so important for us because, yes, you are getting the visibility. Yes, you are getting the knowledge, but also you're expanding yourself for the outside world where you are coming out so you can cultivate this breath. Because when you're doing and when you are allowing other people to hear you and to listen you, and when you are hearing yourself and you are hearing others, it's easier to do that together than by yourself. And Ariana, I think that this is going to be one of the biggest parts as well that I want to ask you, because you said something at the beginning, not something, you said a lot about when you were connecting with the yoga and the pelvic, and when you were guiding the breath towards that. How would you say in Tantra, the breath and the voice connection, how would you describe that?
Well, if you want to connect to your pelvis and to your genitals, the only way to really connect is to actually breathe fully and be able to breathe down into the lower body, the lower belly. And when the breath is high, when the breath is fast, we're in a stimulated state. So we're not relaxing, we're not feeling, we're not connected to the lower body. So it's essential to use the breath to actually reach a fuller orgasmic capacity. There's also a reason why we tend to breathe shallow. Our patterns of breathing tell us where we're holding on in life. So if you needed to suppress emotions, let's say you're a child and you want to cry and someone comes by and they're like, "Shh, oh, it's okay." And you want to cry and it's natural for you to cry, but you're told that it's not okay. And then you create this holding in the body. And each time that feeling comes back, now there's a pattern. Oh, I feel something. Let me shift to the upper body. The emotions are the only way to really feel also your full orgasmic capacity, your full pleasure, your full aliveness. I'm just using a lot of different words, but it's the same. You can't really feel yourself if you're not able to fully breathe. And that's why breath work, for example, is so powerful to release stuck emotions. Because the pattern of the breath brings you into a certain state, can bring you into altered states. It can bring you into multi-orgasmic dimensional space travel. I don't know what kind of state, and it can bring you into unblocking any shame, any emotions that are stuck. And I think we all have that.
Ah, for sure. And we that's such a beautiful thing for us as a humanity. We are so different. That's how I say it, but we are so the same. Like coming to breath, coming to you using your voice, singing, giving yourself different pitch, different frequency. This is all the healing as well. When you express yourself, when you give the voice, and we all have voice, we all have ability to breathe. This work, what we are talking about here, is for everyone. The question is to you: are you gonna willing to try? Trying is lying. Are you willing to do and come to this class, and you're gonna give yourself a permission to experience something that you never experienced, or you're still gonna abandon yourself and actually the beautiful future that is gonna be there after that class, after that workshop, after when someone is gonna give you the full capacity to be seen, to be appreciated, to be valued, and to look with you with such a beautiful eyes that you are so safe in that space, that you are so safe to use your voice, that you are so safe to breathe and to learn how to breathe. Nobody is telling us how to breathe. If we're gonna look, where is in the school, where is the lesson on how to breathe properly? I never seen a lesson like this in my life. So why we cannot give ourselves a permission in that adult life to invest in ourselves and invest in our patterns of breathing and invest in our abilities to become that better version of ourselves, because we are really like these workshops. Whenever I go to any workshop, and the last one that I had with you with this lap dance, it was so healing and beautiful and opening, and again this ability to receive again expanded. And whenever I do anything with the embodiment, and I'm going to ask you a question here as well, when I'm embody in my body, when I'm making the space in my body, I can hold more. And I want to ask you, what does it mean, that embodiment for you? How you are seeing that embodiment?
So I think it's quite a broad topic. But what I focus on is our nervous system needs a physical imprint to be able to shift something. For example, we're talking about sounding and breath right now. So something that I use very often in warming up exercises is breathing in through the nose or through the mouth, and then breathing out with a sound. Doesn't matter what sound, or you use it in the dance, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're going to hear my voice." There's shame coming up. What is that, right? Why did we speak with voice? It's not to just sound and express and be ourselves. On Well, that's an aspect of embodiment. There's the sounding, there's the moving, there's the breathing, there's the allowing of expression in the whole range of emotions that we have. And let's say in this case you have frame around being heard, expressing your voice. The only way for your nervous system to realize that it is safe now to sound and to be heard is through having that lived experience many times. Because rationally, no, I'm safe. Nobody's going to hurt me if I make a sound. But unconsciously, our nervous system still holds that wiring that it's not safe. And symptom track goes back generations. So through embodiment, I like to focus on creating tangible physical experiences. It could be a ritual, it could be a role play, it could be just doing something that's out of your comfort zone to be able to work on this rewiring of the nervous system.
Cheers for that. I mean, nervous system. I just love this, and you know, it's it's when you allow yourself with that nervous system to expand that, to sit with it, to learn how to operate it. That's why it's the system. If you're gonna think about it, it's everything is was a system, but nobody told us about the nervous system until now, until it's all become like wowzer, is why opening. Finally, someone talk about the nerves and the organs and how they are being with us and how they can be expressed. And the nervous system, it makes such a huge part for us. Nerves are everywhere, guys. Like if you're gonna think, that's why we are telling to ourselves, like, feel yourself. I remember when we were doing the lap dance together, and yes, we were dropping, and we were all really relaxed. So you can imagine we're already guys in the process. So we've been dancing, and then Ariana is giving this beautiful process of us sitting down and receiving the touch. And when we were only able to receive the touch, it was only when our nervous system was relaxed enough to actually feel it and receive it. And that's how we were connecting with different pleasure of it, with different ability to feel, because we have feathers, we have smell. And by the way, our eyes were closed, so it was full trust as well. And how the sensation in our body was actually being expanded in the pleasure. And that's I want to bring us here, that Tantra is not only the sexual way, it's all the play in between. And this is the difference. And so many of us still like, I want to talk to someone's like, oh, the Tantra is so sexual. So what, you only do sex there? And I'm like, there is so much more. There is not only sex that you can be big, 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 and that's it. The job is done. This is so more juicier And the sexual play starts much earlier than in the bedroom. And if you think that it starts in the bedroom, you need to contact me and Ariana, and we're gonna tell you the truth and come to the workshop. Okay? So this is the truth. That's how it is, though. So, and I want to let them know because some of the girls, like even when we are talking, like, hey, do you use any toys? Oh no, we don't. Oh, I feel shameless about it. Or is it so? When did you touch yourself? But you don't have to touch yourself in the private part. But when did you even go and touch yourself from the top to bottom with the feather? Where did you touch yourself with your fingers so you can feel your beautiful body, so you can sense who you are? When was the last time you looked yourself in a mirror and you said to yourself, to those parts of you that you're so beautiful, that you appreciate? And that's why this nervous system that we are talking about, so you are feeling safe when you are looking at yourself, it's going to be crucial. And that's what we do. We teach you this as well, how to rewire your nervous system and how to rewire that connection between mind and the body and the soul, because this is some spiritual stuff that we love as well. And whew, I'm going with this to the to this sensual part of our soul, because as we know, our soul is eternal. And as you were talking about, Ariana, earlier, about goddess Kali and Lilith, and like, guys, this is such a huge topic, actually. Like, if you're gonna go into the nitty-gritty of goddesses and what we've been told and what actually has been in the scripture, like with Lilith, like, I was mind blown. There's gonna be another episode about that. But I really wanna ask you, Ariana, as we know that soul is eternal, and there is gonna be some times when we have the old soul and we have the past lives, right? How would you say, going into this quantum world, how Tantra and how these processes can help us shift and heal on that spiritual level, but in this lifetime?
I would say that Tantra helps us too because it works through the body. It's very grounding as well. If we're working with the five senses, we also work with translates and we work with the grounding. So for me, it feels very complementary. So there are a lot of exercises through the body, through breath work, that would bring you into an altered state where visions can be accessed. So we might feel things that our rational brain doesn't understand. So it's about cultivating also our intuition and seeing beyond this world. At the same time, it's so easy to get lost in that. It's so important to come back into the body and not try to cling to um, another reality that we not want to live in. So what I've come to believe is that when people are really focused on fully spiritually bypassing this world and only wanting to be in the higher states all the time, it comes from trauma. And Tantra is something that's very grounding and it helps you to face any trauma or blockages in the system. So for me, when I was little, if I would cry, my stepfather would hit me for crying. So I stopped crying at some times, and I really had been indoctrinated that this is a weakness and we shouldn't cry. And then I grew up, and when I was 19, I really wanted to learn to cry again. So I would, sometimes like, okay, I'm gonna learn to cry again. And then a little tear would come, but the rest of my face is neutral. My body was neutral. And it wasn't until I was working with my Tantra teacher and we were in a tantric dance. So that means someone was leading me, and I didn't like how he was leading me. But what I did was I just checked out. I went to my upper body, so I don't have to feel because I don't like what's happening. And my Tantra teacher came to me and she whispered in my ear, like, breathe into your belly. Yeah. So I breathed into my belly and I screamed because I couldn't suppress anymore that I hated the way he was touching me, and I hated the way my stepfather had touched me, and all of this rage just came out, and I screamed and screamed and screamed because I was in an altered state from breathing this way after so a while. So my conscious mind, my personality got out of the way, And sometimes our personality has become a rigid structure that doesn't serve us anymore, especially if we've had trauma. So the importance of being able to access a part of you that is wider, that is more natural, that just moves because it moves, is so essential. So I screamed, and afterwards I felt so relaxed. I felt so deeply relaxed. My hips even opened up, and like the days after, my body was in such a state of relaxation. Now, when people come to me with a lot of anxiety, I know that little bubbling underneath the surface is also this reception of this mounted repression was something that wants to connect, that our personality will feel this, no, that's bad, that's shameful. Um, well, can you remind me of your house for me?
You have to, you have to, you
Okay, Tantra teaches us to heal through the body, because if we're going too much into, oh, but let's investigate the past lives, okay, but what are you ready to feel here and now? What you're holding in? Why do you want to go to this dimension, that dimension? If you're only going there, this is a trauma response. You're fleeing. There's a reason you're here on earth, and it's to feel this body with all the experiences that you had.
Mm. Cheers to this. And I think, yeah, like this tantra, as you said, is really grounding, and the tantra is connected with that nervous system and with that ability to hold. And on my own examples, guys, I can tell you that, and I love what you said, and I want to honor that you so freely talked about as well that expression, and you having the ability to cry, because if you're gonna think about it, like it's crazy that like it's not it's abnormal that you were so suppressed that you couldn't cry, and you were holding it instead of like releasing. And we always like just release it, like release that anger, release that rage, release that sadness, and you couldn't. You were so trapped, right? And I want to celebrate you for that, because it feels for me like around your chest just opened like this, and the whole beast came out, you know. But that's what I want to say, like, guys, like if you are doing any of the emotional work, as Ariana said, she had someone else to lead her. I had the same thing. I wasn't able to hold myself. And it's not that I'm telling you this, or we are sharing this with you to tell you that, oh, we are better or anything like that. We are sharing this with you because we always going to need someone else to hold us in that moment so we can feel safe. And if we had, if we have to be taken away and we cannot stay in that process, it's still safe for you. So you're not burning yourself out and you're not causing yourself more trauma, but instead you are being able to be held by another person, by the facilitator, by the coach, by the trainer, whoever is gonna be there with you. And we all gonna need someone else. So allow yourself to have someone with you on that journey and to express those emotions like you did, Ariana. And I think because you've been through it, you are here right now where you are, and you are teaching others how to do it. And this is the embodiment for me when we've been through the experiences, so we get to teach and we get to share with one of another as well, right? So yeah, it's like, so how I understand this right now, this the tantric, and how I will tell you guys right now in the very simple words. The tantra is gonna help you to ground, to expand your nervous system, and to stay with your emotions, to stay with your feelings, and to transform them into the higher ones. Because as we know, there is gonna be lows and highs. But what is gonna be different for us here, and what we are teaching you, me and Ariana and other coaches that you had along the way, that it's okay for you to shift, and it's okay for you to change the state of your being and your mind and your feeling and your emotions. And that's what you're getting on the workshop with Ariana. And she's just mastering this like a queen that she is herself. So another question. What would you say to the woman that she wants to feel sensual? She wants to feel sexy, divine, and just like marau. But she, marau. I love it. But but she feels embarrassed, or she feels like broke and afraid. And sometimes we're seeing this on the classes that the shoulders are even dropping, they're closing out. What would you say to her? Yeah, what would you say to her?
Well, this is something that I work with a lot in conscious development. Um, there is something about the breath work, about the way that I build things up that help you to first heal your body and reach a slightly altered state where we are stepping into something bigger than just the personality that keeps us small, because this is a pattern of behavior that's been imprinted on you. So we might do exercises where we're taking up space or letting your voice be heard. Like there are so many ways to work with this. Um, but it's important to take baby steps. Anything you do is already a win, but just keep moving. So he's doing something that will open you up, that will connect you to that sensuality. Maybe if you go to a Tantra space, maybe that's too far out of your comfort zone. And actually, I would say Temple Space is amazing because it's held and you have space holders and all of this. But just thinking of an example, like maybe some things are too far out of your comfort zone. So will you select the teachers, the people that will make you feel safe, and take little baby steps to feel a little bit more sensual? So maybe it's, I don't know, wearing earrings one day. Maybe it's wearing heels another day, like baby steps, and then keep moving, because our nervous system, if we do something that's too big of a leap, will also then shut down and like take us in the other direction then. Um,
Hmm.
and if this was a woman that I had in my lap dance workshop, I would really invite her to embody what she's really feeling, because we have an image of what is sexy. And then we go and task and we're like, but on the inside, I feel awful. Oh, I'm really trying. And there's something that's incongruent, and it starts to become really awkward to look at that person because they're not being real. Whereas, like, if I'm shy and I'm like, I'm just showing up, I'm so shy, then it also is its own thing, you know? So I've had lap dances where women were like crying, where women were screaming, where women were like spontaneously having an energy orgasm. All of this can happen, but just be congruent and break the habit of being something that will please the other, because your actual sexuality and your actual pleasure or sensuality doesn't live in the pleasing. So do something that is real to you, and to just take space in that lap dance, not to um, opt out of the exercise because I'm not good enough. No, just stay in the exercise. And then maybe what you do the whole lap dance is you just make eye contact and you're like, fuck, I feel so uncomfortable. I'm letting you see me. I'm letting you really see me. I'm not doing ooh, ah, ooh, ah. I'm letting you really see and feel me.
Mm, mm. And I'm just, because I feel so juicy. And, one of the practices that you did with us in Amsterdam was how we want to be perceived by that other woman, what you want to feel, how she's looking at you. And guys, like, I think we said that it's gonna be 14th of July that Ariana is coming to UK, and we're gonna be talking more about it. And I think there are gonna be definitely limited spaces, and it's gonna be maybe like 10 of us that we will be like giving you that ability to taste Ariana's magic and to see what she's bringing, because she's the table. She's not bringing nothing to the table. She's the table of it all. We're only gonna have some chairs, and we're gonna spring the magic together. And it's very, this lap dance is really healing. And as we said, like, okay, if the temple is gonna be too much for you, allow yourself to be held by the facilitators or the women, that they're gonna make you feel safe, that they're gonna make you feel seen, that they're gonna make you feel like, hey, this is totally normal. There is no one is better. And this is what I love about this tantric spaces, because it feels so equal.
Like I was so afraid, like myself, I was afraid that someone's gonna think, oh, I'm higher than you or I'm performing better than you. And I wasn't sure about my moves. And like, guys, like I had such a big blockage about my body that it was crazy. For years, I couldn't appreciate my body. I didn't see my body. I was thinking that I'm fat, this, that, and the other. And I was blaming my body and myself. And allowing myself to having an experience with ladies and in the temples and going through that process really helped me heal with my visibility within my body and be appreciated. And you know, I didn't treat it as a performance. I really treat that moment as a process of healing, of process of becoming a woman that I always wanted to be, where I'm not shamed because I'm gonna dance and I'm gonna jiggle my ass and I'm gonna jiggle my titties and I'm gonna be wild and I'm gonna be dangerous and I'm gonna be spicy and then I'm gonna be sweet and shy and I'm gonna do and and then when I'm gonna roar, I wanna roar. So I really encourage you to try to do something different for yourself, and instead of doing this as a performance, to do it as a healing. So question to Ariana: what are the women like discovering about themselves when they are on the experience?
What
What
do
did
women discover about themselves when they're in the experience?
Yes.
So what I hear most commonly is that women walk out of the space feeling more confident, and that's a confidence that they carry into the next days, weeks, or even just a long-lasting attitude of like, oof, that I am something worthy of looking at, even if I don't have the perfect body or whatever society has told us. They've been in touch with a part of themselves that is authentic and sensual. And we have a lot of spaces. Like I've been to high heels classes, I love them, but I've been to a lot of high heels classes where it's about like, I'm really, it's a performance. And this is just something completely different. It's real. It's showing who you really are and then being seen for the beauty that is unique to you. And I think this is something really important for women to also cultivate, to look for beauty around them. And when we're looking for beauty in other women, it's more easy to be like, oh, but if this woman has big thighs and I think she's beautiful, maybe my thighs are also beautiful. We're so used to watching photoshopped bodies and things, ideals that aren't really real bodies and real women anyway. And for some reason, it's just so much easier for most women to find that beauty in others before seeing it in them. So what was it leave me with? Like, it's the influence of
Come
your
closer. Come closer. We know this movement.
what is the imprint of your magnetic field and how you can play with that and how you don't have to be anything other than you. And that is an imprint that is something you can have access to forever.
And cheers to this, because the great years are coming. Like I actually, like I'm so gassed for the humanity and for people that we are and what we are creating, and how shameless, how free, how abundant, how grateful we get to be one for of another, to see one of another when it's not coming from hate, but it's coming from love. There is not something that we've been told, but we are something that we are labeling ourselves again. And this is what's happening on the tantra, with tantra experience, on the tantric, with the tantric infusion of frequency. This is what we are getting. We are getting the whole motherfucking transformation from the body. This is true. From the body to nervous system, to your mind, to your rewiring. You are getting the confidence. You're learning how to breathe. You're learning how to use your breath, how to use your voice. You're learning how to be with another woman. You're learning the sisterhood. There is something incredible. Oh, full body chills again. There is something incredible with the sisterhood, because before, I'm going freaking years back, generations back, we used to be together, sing together, do the flowers together, and it was okay. We used to dance together. We had the things around the fire. And then suddenly someone came, turn off the switch, and that's it. And we all didn't like each other. She has better, they steal it, they have this, they have that, they don't have this. And it all happened. And it started like bloop, 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 bloop. It was like gradually growing and growing and growing and growing. And with this tantric, when you are going, when you're just bypassing this plum 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 plum, what I said to you, those books, those layers, and you going back to the source, back to yourself, back to that beautiful love and the miracle that you are, and you get to choose and change every single day. You just opening in those spaces a possibility for the better tomorrow. And that's how I see this. And I have another question, and I will try to wrap it up as quickly as I can. How people can connect with you? What are you offering? What are you preparing now? I know that you are coming to London. How we can cultivate all together in this beautiful sisterhood, that ability to connection one to another. Yeah.
How can we cultivate this connection from one to another? I think it starts with this decision to show up authentically. And that means people who like it, they're going to be inspired by it, or maybe even they'll be triggered by it at first. Um, and you'll draw in your tribe who also mirrors you with their authenticity. So you're going to step into a way of being with people who want to be in that same state. Um, and yeah, I think it's also being the change and really standing for that. And then some people fall away and some people you'll really attract into of. And a huge aspect of that being able to create authentic connections, just being able to be vulnerable. We're so taught to be put together to have some kind of mask of either being professional or whatever your flavor is. We all have some idea of we need to be a certain way. And as soon as we start to drop that and dare to show vulnerably, which takes a lot of courage, um, then we start to create the kind of connections and the kind of world that we really want.
And I love it. What events do you have coming up, and how we can be together with you?
Ooh. So I have most of my offerings in Hipsy, which is used for my events in the Netherlands and Belgium. You can definitely follow me on Instagram. It's at Ariana_Lara. And I have so many events coming up. I have the 4th of July in Amsterdam on Microghost Tantra. We use truffles and we have the whole journey of opening the senses. And 5 September, the 5th of September, I have another conscious lap dance. I'm going to see because I will also be in London in August. I found out. I'm going to see if I can throw together a lap dance workshop. I would really love that. So, and I also just have lap dance workshops that are just about dance. I have female only or femme only, and then I have mixed gender versions. Of course, I also offer one-on-ones, and I have some online stuff. So if you're in a different country than me, you can find my online offerings at soulseductress.com.
Mm, beautiful. I can't actually wait for us to do something together in London, to bring that Amsterdam, Netherlands, Belgium freedom here, and that free spirit, and that spaciousness, and just like I just I just can't wait for this magic, because I think like there is so much mask, so many mask here to be taken off and to strip people down. Um that is insane. And I really want you guys to think, what does it mean for you, this episode, what you listen today? what was your intention when you were listening to this episode? How eye-opening this episode for you was? What was that lesson that you want to start taking into your everyday life? Maybe there is something in your life that you are missing, that you don't have it yet, but you're willing to do the next steps. And on that note, I think like we are completed. How do you think? Do you feel completed? Is there anything you would like to share?
I'm very grateful for being here and thank you for creating more visibility and hard work on this wall. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, I'm gonna talk to you soon and I'm gonna talk to you on the next episode. Have a beautiful day. Everything is gonna be in the show notes so you can find Ariana there. They are sending you so much love. Talk to you soon. Bye.